What is up, everybody? I did not speak until I was unmuted, so I did not get the mute button put on me. What is up, everybody? We're on Thursday night football here for week 2. We're back at it. A little showdown action, a little nice little division game here we got working. AFC East. Should be a fun one. Joined, as always, by SquirrelPatrol, John Breslin, one of the best in the business, one of the guys who really he's able to tackle these showdowns. He's had success in the past with these things because he's doing it a little bit different than me and you, or a lot of us. So, we're going to welcome him into the show. John, how's your week treating you so far?
Good. Yeah, good week. Good game tonight. We've been treated to like a pretty good set of primetime games so far, and it continues with this like AFC matchup. This is one that's going to be important to the standings probably at the end of the season. It got like two big name teams on offense. These guys are the guys who were drafting in our best ball and season long drafts all summer. So yeah, it's looking forward to the matchup tonight.
Yeah, it should be fun. And we got a little injury action going on. It's weird, but week 1 and week 2 of the NFL season, there's a lot of injuries, man, for being this early in the year. So I don't know how that's going to play out, but we got one tonight. We got so we got Raheem Mostert is out. He's not going to play tonight. I think the tricky part here, Squirrel, and I want your opinion on this because this is the big elephant in the room. Like normally, this should be a jump on Achane. This should, he's going to be the bell cow. This is it. We wait, all year for weeks like this when a guy like this is the number one. But then they come out and say we're going to play Achane. He's going to be our lead back until his ankle gives out. Like that's not very reassuring, man. Like what do you make of all that?
Yeah, I think you got to take some stands, and I'm leaning away from Achane tonight. And I think this is the kind of thing where we're waiting all day for the news. Is he officially in? Okay, we know Mostert's out. Is Achane's going to be unleashed? And there's a good chance that they are just going to limit his work a little bit, and that he just doesn't end up in the winning line. If you look at his player props, it's like under 50 yards rushing, 3.5 receptions, 20 something yards receiving. He's about 50 odds to score a touchdown. I don't know. He's a little pricey. He's drawing a lot of attention. You got to make choices somewhere. There's a lot of explosive players on these teams. Like I'd rather go with Tyreek Hill or Josh Allen, and pass over to Achane tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I'm taking the opposite thing. I think I'm just going to say lock him in and let's see how it rolls. I haven't looked at the ownership lately, but I can't imagine that the ownership is going to be as high as it normally would if we would have seen Mostert out and Achane is 100% healthy with no question marks himself. And I got to think that's leading people to maybe get away from him a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I should change it. Maybe I should go Jalen Wright. What do you think about Jalen Wright, man? Okay, let's say Achane. Let's play a game where Achane goes out there, and we've seen him do this before too with the knee last year. Plays a series or two and says, that's it. I can't do it no more. I'm done. Who would you rather have then in that situation right now?
You mean of Wilson or
Wright or whoever's on the whoever you think is going to be the guy to come in to play running back most?
I think Wilson. I think he's the veteran guy. And I think,
well, if it's Wilson, then why did all these idiots make me draft Jalen Wright all summer long?
You're getting too best ball-y in the brain. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Where's Maddox? I need Maddox on the show now. I got to pick a bone to pick with him, man. He's shoving Jalen Wright down my throat all summer. The guy can't even get no work when the top two backs are out. What are we doing here?
It's week 2. It's like it's Thursday night of week 2. Like the guy's been with the team for a few weeks. I don't know. I think Jeff Wilson is there. My guess is it's just going to be a kind of division between Achane and Wilson. Like Wilson's going to step into the Mostert role. And that the rookie was right is there for for emergency purposes. He's like kind of the emergency third down back. Like we didn't see Jeff Wilson get a lot of work last week, and I think Wright's going to see kind of the same treatment this week.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So we got decisions to make here. It should be a fun slate. This throws a little wrinkle in there. So I like that. Makes everybody thinking a little bit different here. So other than that, the inactives look pretty normal. Not seeing anything that's going to mess with us. So again, guys, we appreciate you tuning in, but this is a chat-driven show. So your questions are much appreciated. So we don't have to, dig into like too much here. You kind of already heard all the spiels all over the surveys and everything. We want to answer questions here. Before we get to it, though, Splash Sports, skip the trip to Vegas. Splash Sports hosts the NFL Survivor and Pick'em pools every week, available in 34 states and TJ's Canada. It's available in Canada. Start with, the $1 million survival pool in week 2. Pick one winning team each week for a chance to win $1 million. But remember, don't use the same team twice. Join us in week 2 for the RotoGrinders Survivor Revival. So they got some revivals out there. I was in the lobby. Lots of revival contests out there if you want to jump in it. If I buried you in week 1 with the Cincinnati Bengals Survivor pick, I do apologize. You can get into a revival pool right now. Should be fun. $20 entry, $20K to be won on the RG Premium prizes for the top 20 in that contest. There's all kinds of good stuff. There's tier contests where you're picking one player out of every tier. And then, kind of like a lineup, but one player out of every tier. Very interesting stuff. I recommend getting over there. Splash Sports / RotoGrinders. Get you some of that action. Should be fun. Other than that, what do we got here? We got some questions here. We got, let's just knock out the FanDuel stuff real fast. Carolina guys, our FanDuel guys there every week. We're gonna bump him up. This is like when you go into the water park and you buy for the bracelet, you spin for the bracelet that gets you to the front of the line. Carolina guy, he has the bracelet. He's here every week, so we're going to bump him to the front of the line. Favorite FanDuel GPP large field MVP.
It's going to be Josh Allen. To be honest, I think like sometimes you win these things by like firing a bunch of correct bullets, right? Like getting a lot of shots on goal. I would take like Josh Allen, honestly, and I'd try to pair him with somebody that, some guys that are maybe going to be lower owned than they should be. Like maybe take a Josh Allen and Matt Collins or
here you go.
Josh Allen,
that was my next question for you is, all right, FanDuel's really on a site like or a night like this where you've got Josh Allen, the player he is at his position and the way they format their game in showdowns. It is very difficult to get away from that guy because you're almost lighting money on fire. Maybe you go crazy and something else happens, but you're almost lighting money on fire. So if you do play the Josh Allen and you are in the large field, that's the next question. How do you get different with a low-owned flex over there?
Yeah, I would get different with a low-owned flex. Is what I would do. And so there are guys that are not going to see a ton of ownership. Dawson Knox, and I'd probably prioritize like a Bills secondary receiver. And I assume we're kind of talking like a single entry or just a handful of entries. And I would go with somebody that, like one like Dawson Knox, Mac Hollins, Des Scantling, like somebody, depending on your risk tolerance or what you think of these individual players. Like take a Bills receiver or a Bills pass catcher that's just not going to be popular. And I would like the guys I would put into that category primarily are like Hollins, Knox, Valdez, Scantling, and that's like my order of preference for the three. Or you could try to take a combination of some guy, like you maybe stick a Miami pass catcher like Johnny Smith. It's not going to be that popular. But yeah, you want to be like aware of not having too much ownership. One thing I brought up in my article, and this is for the DraftKings contest, because these teams met in week 18. It was a somewhat similar situation because Mostert was out. And the DraftKings winning entry there had Josh Allen paired with 4 of his receivers, which is not something you would have expected. But you just had Trent Sherfield caught a touchdown at a really cheap price. I think it was like Kincaid and all these, so like overstack Josh Allen. So maybe take more Bills pass catchers than you would expect. And put them in an MVP team with Josh Allen.
Yeah, that's interesting. And he spreads the ball around. It kind of makes sense in hindsight. And maybe it's a Jalen Wright night over there. Maybe you can play him on FanDuel and get away with it. That might be something different. But let me see here. We got, let's just get people are going to ask this quite a bit, but DraftKings, your favorite captain over there.
DraftKings is a little bit different, right? Because it's got the salary multiplier. My favorite captain is still probably Josh Allen, but I'm more open to the idea of getting a little bit different. And I think some guys that I would take a look at, maybe one guy in particular that I like is Dalton Kincaid. The idea that people are going to overreact to him having a poor game. I think he had one catch last week, and it was Keon Coleman who had maybe a little bit more involvement in a better game than people were expecting. So I don't mind the idea of like a Kincaid captain team, but I like Keon Coleman too. Like I'm not saying like Keon Coleman's going to go away. So yeah, maybe Keon Coleman, maybe Khalil Shakir is actually kind of sitting right in the middle between those guys. Is another guy that people are going to not go to as often as they would have like a week ago. But it's only been 1 week, and like we talk about this even before the season starts about how like week 2 is the everybody overreacts week. Like go back to one of these Bills or pass catchers like Shakir or Kincaid.
Yeah. Looking at the chat here, perusing the chat, I'd like to say what up to Carlos, because he says what up to us. So what up to Carlos? Shiv Daddy, what's up? Butthole is in the house. Don't forget that Plums play of the night here later. We're going to get to that because we got 22 minutes left till lock, so we'll get to it in about 15 minutes. But Butthole is in the house. Eric Lip, question: thoughts on Jalen Wright? We kind of already talked about it, but just so we put it to rest, your official stance on Jalen Wright is?
I'd like to go under the field on all Dolphins running backs. So I think you're going to get too much attention. So don't want to go to Wright. Don't want to, like, there's so many different options. And like, I was looking at the inactives list, and like the Bills have 5 legitimate wide receivers, all of whom could get a touchdown. I wouldn't blink if MVS catches a touchdown. Matt Collins, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, like any of these guys, like these are established guys. They have the trust of their teammates. I would go there instead of the rookie who has an uncertain role. I know it seems like we're picturing it in our heads, and it's possible. But like everybody wants this outcome of like Wright's just going in there and getting the majority of the work at some super cheap price, and he's like the different guy. But everybody's thinking of that same guy. He's the guy we're answering questions about the whole show. I would go to one of these established guys. It's a little bit less flashy or like a little bit like more well known in terms to their teammates.
I would say so the ownership, let's say it's roughly around 20. You want to be under the 20 in flex on Jalen Wright. I just get these visions in my head. He's really like, there is a difference between a good running back and then one that's kind of like just grinding. Like there's a difference between Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, right? Like if we're talking about just in a vacuum, you could just, some guys have a different burst to them, electricity to them. Achane has it over Mostert, but Jalen Wright's just got that different burst to him. So it's really easy to picture him getting in there and just breaking one. And then, oh my God, so that's kind of what you're dancing with that upside in your head. But you're right, in a vacuum, these other guys are more likely to outscore him tonight just based on, he was inactive last week. They must not think too much of him, right? Like he was inactive last week, and it's a weird thing going on there. But Butthole asked a question earlier, is Achane active? He's active, but the caveat is the exact words from the beat writer was they'll ride him as a lead back until his ankle hurts. Like, I hate that, man. And that sucks, man. But it's what it is. You're just kind of taking a chance there. He's not been known in his brief NFL career and his college career, not been known as a guy who's played well with injuries. I'll say that much. He's left the game early several times, including last year as a rookie. He left the game early. So you never know what you're getting into, but that's the right question. We answered that one for you. That'll knock out that one. Let's see. With Jeff Wilson and Jalen Wright around him, thoughts on pivoting to Ty Johnson? Could he get work if the Bills fall behind? That's a stretch, but what do you think about Ty Johnson?
Yeah, actually, I think Ty Johnson is maybe more reasonable than Wright, because he's a more veteran player. They do have Ray Davis there as like the rookie backup running back, but I think it strikes me more of a situation where like Cook's the main guy. Maybe Ray Davis is like there to spell him, and then Ty Johnson's maybe more a pass catching back, but Cook catches passes as well. But yeah, I could see a situation like I think Ty Johnson is more likely to get in there and kind of get some of those cheap receptions, maybe at the end of the first half or end of the game. So I don't mind that play.
All right, we got 18 minutes. I need some likes, guys. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. There was a question here. It's talking about lineup HQ and who is going to be the highest on MVP or a captain. Apologies. Or MVP. No, it's no, that's FanDuel. God dang, I'm on the wrong site. Yeah, MVP. Josh Allen is blowing away the field as far as ownership and MVP over there. But like Squirrel said, it's going to be tough to get different with that guy. So let me flip on over here to the section for DraftKings and see what we got here. Oh my goodness, my lineup. I don't know if we got it pulled up. My lineup HQ is messing up on me right now. It's my fault. It's not the computer's fault, but I'm not getting it. So, anyways, I got a feeling it's going to be Josh Allen again. So we'll pull that up for you. But TJ's got it going. No, is it Tyreek Hill? Oh, Tyreek Hill at 20%. Josh Allen on his heels. Yeah, you're going to get the expensive guys up there. Kind of surprised Waddle's up to third and Achane down there a little bit. So that's interesting numbers right there. Here's a guy, Lip says, and I'm very interested in this guy, Shakir at captain for me. That's him. I don't mind that at all, man. Shakir is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I really like those kinds of plays because we have a bunch of expensive guys that we want to get onto a roster, right? Like we want to get Tua on there. We want to get Tyreek Hill on there. We want Josh Allen. We'd love one of like Achane or Jalen Waddle. Like a guy like Shakir, like let's say he puts up 100 yards with a touchdown or, he's 80 yards to touchdown, something like that. Like, yeah, he's at a price where he can get it, get the winning captain spot with that kind of reasonably good game because he's adding all these other guys, right? He'll add Josh Allen onto the roster and you can get like Tyreek Hill. I like that kind of play. Like, I think those kinds of guys are underowned in the captain spot. Like these guys in the mid-range, Shakir, Kincaid, Keon Coleman, just kind of happens to be a bunch of Bills pass catchers. Like James Cook maybe even is priced low enough to fit into that range. Maybe even Jalen Waddle, where they're cheap enough at the captain spot to give you more salary to the salary multiplier to get you some more legitimate players into your roster.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I guess this would be a Thursday through Monday question here, or season long, whatever. I don't care. I'll answer it, or you can answer it. Chandler asks, Kincaid, who starts tonight, likely, or Ingram as a tight end? Isaiah likely, Evan Ingram, or Kincaid kicking off tonight?
I think Ingram. Where they play?
Really?
Jacksonville playing.
Interesting. It's I forget. It's not a bad matchup. Yeah. Actually, it's not. I forget who it was. Likely. I was looking at it earlier, but
this is the risky when you ask.
Kincaid is so you're not you believe in him kind of tonight, like to rebound a little bit, but you'd still rather have Evan Ingram over there.
Yeah, they're playing. I don't know. Actually, it's a tough call. I might go with Kincaid.
They're
playing a good Browns defense. Jacksonville is.
Ingram can sometimes get lost in the mix. We'll see though. All right, we got Josh Allen unders. He's starting to regret it from Lib. Yeah, I don't know about that. That takes me to another thought process that I was discussing earlier with my dad. He likes to play a little DFS, little player props. He brings up a good point, Squirrel, that we got this game tonight in Miami between these division rivals. But later on in the year, they'll play in Buffalo. And once you get to the Buffalo and the weather changes and all that, Miami has very the opportunities to win a game like that go down drastically. So they got to put a lot of stock into this game, right? You don't buy into that though, do you? They're the ones who are like, this is the one we got to win. Buffalo's kind of on a free roll here because they still got to come back to Buffalo in bad weather later.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're trying to win every game, right? I don't know. The situation for them just is what it is. Like, I don't think they're gonna like panic or something. they gotta win this one because they got to go to Buffalo next, later in the season. Like, I think they think they got to win this game. Like, I think this division was both teams 11-6 last year. They played each other at the last game of the season. It's going to come down to something like that. They're trying to win every game, and it's too hard to know what's going to happen. Like, if Josh Allen gets hurt tonight, suddenly going to Buffalo is no longer, that intimidating thing that you would have thought. So I think they're just trying to take each week as it comes and make sure they win this game.
Question from Discord real quick. Can you play Jeff Wilson and Achane together in a single entry lineup?
I would not. I think you're limiting your upside. It is true. Like, that kind of hits. We always think about that when it hits, right? Like, the backup running back got in there and broke a 40-yard touchdown, and the primary running back was already having a big day, and so that's the winning showdown lineup, and we should have had two running backs with the same. Like, we kind of remember those situations sometimes because it actually doesn't happen all that often. Like, I think that's something that gets played more often than it actually wins. And the time you really want the backup running back in there is when the primary back gets hurt early in the game. That's when you really want the backup. So I would try to avoid that.
Fair enough. Some more questions. I'm going to get to them in a minute. We got about 12 minutes left here. I got to get the read out of the way for Favorites Pod contest and podcast over there. It's part of our deal here. If you're looking for a Plus EV contest this NFL season, our friends at Action Network have one for you. Their podcast is called Favorites. Is bringing back. Okay, the podcast is The Favorites. It's bringing back. There you go. We got it up on the screen right now. NFL free pick'em contest this season. Totally free to sign up at favorites.action.com, actionnetwork.com. Just 5 picks against the spread every week. Cash prizes for the top 10 finishers. 40 G's to first place. $100,000 pool in general. Just listen to the podcast and sign up over here and play around. Action Network's got some great gambling stuff, content over there regardless. I'm on that, just looking around at that stuff constantly anyway. Good stuff over there. And don't forget about the RG Listener League also. Play alongside with other viewers and the host, and every week to compete first place and win yourself a month of RG Combo Premium. Check out our description for an invite to the contest. We'll have that description somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere. But it's the RG Listener League. We have those all the time. All fun. And don't forget, I don't know if you're on this tonight. I think Kirk Deese is where the squad is riding Kirk Deese tonight. So he's got some pick out there for the squad ride. If you don't know about the squad rides, get in the Discord. It's fun stuff. All right. We have some other stuff here I want to talk about. Is Josh Allen paired with Kincaid, Coleman, and Shakir in the same lineup too thin? You kind of addressed that already with some data from last year, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't mind that. Sorry, it was Josh Allen with multiple receivers, right? Kincaid, Coleman, or Shakir.
Shakir and Coleman, all three of his big dogs.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that kind of thing. I think people are going to go like, well, Josh Allen doesn't need a receiver to land in the winning lineup because he can run really well. Well, his chances of landing in the winning lineup if he's bringing along 3 receivers is actually pretty high. So I think that lineup makes sense. I mean, obviously it can not hit too, right? But you don't lose more money for finishing in last place. So I like that kind of lineup.
Is Tua a must if you have both Tyreek and Waddle in the flex? Is Tua a must?
Not necessarily, because it could just be Tua, or it could just be Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, right? So I think that's okay. I think you can leave Tua off the lineup if you've got the 2, even if you have the 2 receivers.
All right, I'm going to answer this one because I know what your answer is. So I'm going to answer it for Steve. He says, is there any concern for possible rain tonight? There is no concern for weather. This is football and this is not baseball. I wouldn't concern myself with anything. The only thing that really hurts these guys is very, very, very strong wind. That's not a thing. If you don't see the total in Vegas drop very much, then it's probably a big much ado about nothing. So don't worry about the rain, bud. It'd be all right. Yeah. So Alan at Captain, sure. Alan at Captain. I got some more questions here, but man, we only got 8 minutes left, and I want to leave people time just in case they want to alter their lineups based on our picks. So let's go, man. Fill it in the plums. I'm gonna throw it to you first for you. Fill it in the plums so we get it out the way and everybody knows what's going on. So I'm gonna let you have it first.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Somebody I mentioned earlier in the show, and I almost gave it away with Dalton Kincaid. And this is like an ownership considered thing, but I think people are gonna shy away from him, worried about like Keon Coleman taking his role. I don't mind the idea of playing like Kincaid and Coleman with Josh Allen. Um, I think I'm a little bit higher on the Bills passing offense than other people tonight. But yeah, Fielding and Plums, Dalton Kincaid.
I like that, Dalton Kincaid. So I already prefaced this by saying I've already locked in HN into my lineups as the captain. So that's what I'm doing. But for the sake of this, I was this close, very, very close to pulling the trigger on Jalen Waddle as my captain. I really think this might be more of a Jalen Waddle game than Tyreek style game. It's tough to get away from Reed. We've already pulled up the ownership numbers. He's going to be 50% in flex, another 20% in captain at least. Waddle's he comes way off of that. He's way down off that. And, he has his games, man. He has his moments throughout the year where he outscores Tyreek. This could be one of them. So filling in the plums, I'm going Jalen Waddle, although I locked in David Achane, but that's low-hanging fruit. You guys don't need to you don't need to hear that. So back to the regular scheduled stuff. Devin Achane in cash. I'd say yes. That's a fine. You think Achane in cash is if you're crazy enough to play cash on a showdown, you think Achane's a good cash play?
Yeah, absolutely. It's good.
Should I put Achane in the lineup or Waddle or Reek? I don't get that, Jardog. You're gonna have to rephrase that, but maybe should I put Achane in the lineup or Waddle? I don't know. Would you give me out of those three guys, Achane, Waddle, Tyreek? Who's your favorite? Let's do it. Rank those three for us tonight.
I think Tyreek, even price considered. Like I know he's the most expensive, but I'd go Tyreek first. I'd go Waddle second. I'd go Achane third.
Butthole, I think there is a chance for an Alec Ingold touchdown tonight, filling it in his plum. Wow. I mean, if you call that one, man, Alex Ingold touchdown. That's good for you, man. You did. Yes, Achane's a cash build. Saw one here a minute ago. Is 5-1 Dolphins stack the play? I don't like the Bills today. Anything's in play, man, right? All right, Squirrel, anything can be in play, right?
Yeah, I think anything's in play. I think if you're going that, I'm kind of like putting the defense in there sometimes. But yeah, teach their own.
And a similar style question, and these are fine. Thoughts on Josh Allen solo with 5 Dolphins? Stuff like that wins, man. That's perfectly fine, right?
Yeah, that's reasonable.
All right, let's see. DK question for GPPs. Is Smythe playable in large field?
I was getting a lot of Smythe. I don't know. I don't love it. I feel like those guys never hit. Those like super cheap guys that like we're always like, oh, the optimizer says like Smythe, and his 2 points is optimal. I don't know. It seems like it hits less often than it spits out in optimizers.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that assessment for sure. It's just the thing about optimizers is you could run it with whatever the blitz tonight, right? Run those numbers, and you have 100 optimals, and Smythe is ending up in 90% of them. And then go in there and look at his projection, and I don't even know what it is tonight. I have to pull it up. Let me see. Yeah, just for context, 3.74, and he's hitting in 90 optimal. And let's subtract him by a half a point, 3.25. That's a pretty reasonable subtraction. And then run those numbers again, and he might not end up in one optimal. Like they're so peculiar right there. You just gotta be careful with that, right?
Yeah, I don't know. You've got to think like raw points matter, roster spots matter. Right? I think we've talked about this on the show countless times. They're like, yeah, roster spots matter. There's a good cost of the roster slot. And if Durham Smythe gets 2 touchdowns and then, then I was wrong. But I just don't see that happening as often as like somebody like, Mac Hollins or whoever, who's a little bit more expensive, Jonnu Smith, having a bigger game, 30 yards and a touchdown or something that justifies the roster spot.
Yeah, and games matter. And this game projects to have some points in it and some touchdowns. Like a guy like Smythe is not terrible when the Steelers are playing the Falcons and there's 7 field goals in the game and nobody on offense is scoring a touchdown. That one touchdown could be great, could win you a GPP, but there should be touchdowns here. So I kind of with you on that one. Tua and Allen on a DraftKings lineup. Tua and Allen in the same lineup. I mean, nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, let's see what we got. We got 3 minutes. I'm gonna hurry up. No Tyreek tonight or Waddle. No Tyreek. Oh, would you fade Tyreek and or Waddle tonight? Would you fade them both?
It's tough. I think I'd be more apt to fade Waddle, I think.
Who is Squirrel's favorite touchdown scorer of the night? Who's going to give us a touchdown and win us some money, man, from the books?
Yeah, I will. See, let me pull up the odds here. I'm looking at the odds.
Like H-Chan's got to have some pretty rough odds, right? Like those got to be pretty high, right, by now, right?
It's well, I'm seeing minus 115.
That's not great. I want a plus number. We could probably get a pretty big plus number on Kincaid, right?
Kincaid is 200, but I'd go 550 on Jonnu Smith.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, there was a lot of hype around him, a little bit of hype at least. Then he had a silent week 1, but they always do. A lot of people, tight ends are tight ends. I don't mind that at all. I like that one quite a bit. Everybody focused on Tyreek, divisional game, focused on Waddle, and they get Jonnu wide open. I like that. All right, let's see here. I'm fading Waddle. Okay, that's good luck with that one. I like Waddle. Okay, 2v2 with a minute left. Waddle and Hollins or Coleman and Sanders?
Sorry, what was the 2v2?
Jalen and Holland, Waddle and Hollins or Coleman and Sanders?
Waddle and
yeah, more upside with Waddle and Hollins. You got 2 touchdown scores in there. Is Jeff Wilson a good play on DK?
I mean, he's a good play. I think ownership's a concern. He doesn't really catch passes.
Your last roster spot in the lineup: Dolphins defense or Jonnu Smith?
Just risk tolerance. I'd go Jonnu if I'm trying to win the $1 million multi-entry tournament. If it's a higher price, smaller field, I'd go Dolphins defense.
All right, guys. I think that tackled all the questions. I apologize if I kind of got lost in the mix there with your questions. A lot of stuff coming in, but we only got about 45 seconds left, so we're going to jump out of here. Score, you got any last words before we get out of here?
No, should be a good game. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, guys, we appreciate you tuning in and getting all those questions in. Going to be back again on Monday night with the same crew. And until then, good luck in those GPPs for Squirrel and Chop and TJ behind the scenes. We're out of here.